The following presentation is part of the Beyond the Blast Doors network.
And now your hosts, Pete Fletcher and David Amalotti.
Episode 23 of Streaming Star Wars. I came up on camera a little earlier than I expected, but that's okay, because in this moment, we're talking about the Clone Wars. Clone Wars saved, Clone Wars ended. We're going to talk about the legacy of the franchise and some of the characters that mean the most to us, and some breaking news as far as Mandalorian casting news. I'm Ammo. I'm on your screen or in your ears right now, and the other handsome fellow that's a little bit older and experienced in life than me, that is Pete Fletcher. Everybody,
Hello.
Pete Fletcher.
Hey,
Yes.
Amalotti. How are things going, my friend? How are things?
They're going well.
I heard you had a little bit of a thunderstorm last night doing Beyond the Blast Doors live, but
yeah. A lot of great support here on the Beyond the Blast Doors network. The weekly live show here. We call it kind of like the flagship show.
Yes.
I went live last night, and Pete wasn't around. Pete fell asleep.
I fell asleep. I'm old.
I did not put Pete to sleep. I will be the first to say that. I did not put Pete to sleep. He fell asleep before my nightmare.
Right. I fell asleep. It had nothing to do with David. It was 100% my. It's just been a long couple of weeks, man. So yeah,
it's been a long couple of weeks. You're absolutely right, my friend. Thanks for joining me last night or today on the rewind. That's why I say it. I say the rewind because people like Pete join me on the rewind.
That's right. If I can't hit you up when you're doing it live, I'm going to catch you on the rewind, much like this. But so I've got. Great segue, man. You're like you are a professional. I am a hack, but from a professional standpoint, before we do anything, I want to just share that Beyond the Blast Doors has exploded in the last couple of weeks, and on top of that, Streaming Star Wars now has its own podcast stream. It is no longer part of the Around the Galaxy stream, not because I didn't want it there, but because I want Streaming Star Wars to take off on its own. This show is doing so well. We get so many great people every week joining us, and it deserves its own spot in the podcast universe. So it's on Apple, it's on Anchor, it's on Spotify. It's probably just about any place that you're going to find a podcast. That's where you'll find us. You'll also find us, of course, on beyondtheblastdoors.com and live here every Friday night.
And I feel like we just want to take a moment and thank you. You're watching, you're listening, you're tweeting, you're posting on social media about Streaming Star Wars. It's why we made the move to give it its own stream. You're the reason why we're getting the hundreds of downloads per episode. It really motivated us to dedicate the show its own stream and have its own place, especially when you go on beyondtheblastdoors.com. You'll notice, yes, it's now got its own stream. It's like Pete said, it's not under that Around the Galaxy umbrella. And so we're really excited about this, but it doesn't happen without your support. It's a show that we weren't sure how it would be welcomed among all the Star Wars shows out there in the galaxy. And the fact that we get 200, 300, 400 downloads a week per show, it's exciting. And it's all because of you.
Absolutely. And, thankfully Disney keeps giving us stuff to talk about every single week. We thought, we're going to get the Mandalorian, and we knew Clone Wars was coming. And then we got a little bit nervous. What the hell are we going to talk about every week? But it just seems like, literally, I'll turn the news over to you, Dave, because literally like 2 hours ago, I was sitting on my back porch. I was enjoying some dinner with the family, and I picked up my phone, and I had to forward you the latest news and rumor coming out of Mandalorianville.
Here's Pete flaunting that he has a family and a wife that loves him. I mean, it's like every show with this guy.
I know.
Are we here to talk Star Wars or your personal successes in life? It's outrageous how egotistical you are. No, it's actually a really exciting time, Pete, because just hours ago, Deadline comes out and says it's confirmed that Timothy Olyphant is okay. Olyphant. That's how you say his last name, right?
Is it Olyphant? I always think of sort of like the elephant, but I could be wrong. Olyphant.
I just know him as the guy from Deadwood. That's all. That's how I know of him.
Right.
He's the guy from Deadwood.
He's one of those guys that like I know his name. I've heard it a million times, and I remember a little bit of him on Deadwood. But he's today's rumor. He's today's Mandalorian rumor. It's like a daily occurrence.
I mean, yeah, I want to be careful. I mean, Deadline is pretty on the spot when it's going to come out and say we've confirmed. Now, what we haven't confirmed, right, Pete, is the role. So we don't know if this is a brand new character. We don't know if this is a familiar face to the catalog of Star Wars characters. But we just know that he is in season 2, some shape or form. Really excited about this, obviously, because as we continue in this conversation tonight, we're going to be talking about the fact that we might have Ahsoka Tano, Boba Fett, Katie Sackhoff's back as Bo-Katan. We reportedly have Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka Tano. We're pretty confident about it, but we have not had anyone of like significance like Lucasfilm or Rosario Dawson herself saying like, it's me. Like no one's doing it yet. So we're waiting for someone to Rosario, if you're watching, if you happen to watch this on the rewind, just in the comment section, if you want to just drop us a beat.
In fact, if somebody wouldn't mind in the chat, go to Twitter and just hit Rosario up. Tell her where she can find the show. Maybe she'll join us. Yeah, we're live. She can come in and hang out.
We need a scoop. We want a scoop, man. We don't have these people up in the higher echelon of Disney Tower, texting us little notes every week like some people around here.
Not yet. We're getting there.
One day. That's why we need your help getting to 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. We have a giveaway. We put it out on Twitter. You find out about it. All right.
That's right. So between that and of course, I don't know. Did you see the one about the did you hear the joke about I think her name is Skylar Schuler. She's a WWE. This is something Noah Outlaw dropped, and somebody, I think the problem is it was picked up by
we got this covered.
Yeah, so I don't put a lot of weight into it. However, it is an interesting thought that Sabine could be in it. But here's the thing. What my biggest challenge, I think we might have talked a little bit about it with Clayton last weekend, last Friday.
Shout out last episode. Check it out. Episode 22. Clayton Sandell is great. Okay.
Absolutely. Great. Good job. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yep.
But are we getting to a point where we know too much? Like the question is, how do you feel they're going to be able to take, now that we allegedly know, and let's give it a huge grain of salt, that we may have Ahsoka, we may have either Boba Fett or Rex or Cody or all of them. We could now the one thought already, within 3 hours of the story hitting is that Oliphant's going to play Ezra Bridger. I don't see that, but anyway, we're going to be getting characters we know. What made Mandalorian so amazing and such an amazing experience was the surprise of Baby Yoda, or Yoju, as Steel Saunders calls him.
It's a gross name, but I'm into it. It's gross.
Yeah, it's kind of But what's the surprise going to be in season 2, or is the story going to be so damn strong that it's okay that we know that all these characters are coming back?
First off, I want to address I'm dancing in my place because I'm very happy to be here with you. All right, and the second thing, which is why we're actually here, I think it feels the approach is we want you to know about all these people because we've got something even bigger cooked up. We want you to check it out. You're stuck at home. It's a pandemic. Watch this show when it drops. But on the flip side of it, and I've said this before, Baby Yoda was the ultimate reveal, and they kept it secret until its reveal when we watched that episode. So I just feel like I don't know if they can top that, and I don't know if they're trying to. Right. We kept the secret from you as the audience. We were successful. We got a good laugh. We loved your reaction. Now what we're going to do is we are going to take 40-something years of Star Wars, but really characters beloved by fans in the last decade. And now we're going to throw them in, and we're going to see if this works. In a way, it kind of feels like an Avengers type of, like, if like bounty hunters and rogues, that kind of a thing, like an Avengers type style cast, because we're kind of pulling from all over the place.
Yeah.
Disney wants to find a way to make Star Wars like the MCU, something where you can churn out stories continually, make it profitable. I'm of the party that doesn't think that's really how Star Wars works as far as build up and such, but that's okay. Really excited to see how this experiment drops. Of course, we get this fall here in 2020. I'm excited. I'm really pumped.
Do you think we're running the risk though of and this is pure speculation because none of this has been confirmed, of course, but do we run the risk of being too excited or too much looking forward to getting live action Ahsoka, right? And then she's in for 48 seconds at the end of episode 8, and we're what?
But if she's there, and that's all you need, I don't think it's just gonna be 48 seconds. If Ahsoka Tano's making a
Right.
live action debut, it's gonna be substantial in the sense that however much time she spends on screen, it will make an impact significantly on the story itself. But if you also believe the rumors, and again, we're going rumor to rumor to rumor to
Yeah,
rumor.
that's all we
a live
have.
action Ahsoka Tano series
Right.
might get ignited. The spark of that series might be here in Mandalorian season 2. So with that anticipation, I'm very excited. Do you run the risk? Of course you do, Pete. A lot of people had excitement about, Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker, Solo, Rogue One, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, A New Hope, Revenge of the Sith, Attack of the Clones. Did I miss one yet? Phantom Menace. Like, we all have suspense and hopes and dreams when we go into these movies, and some of us leave blue-balled. And it's okay, damn it, because it's just a movie, but we really like these movies so much.
Well, exactly, and I think that's why these rumors drop, and that's why they ignite us. And I think it's a really interesting marketing plan, right? To get that information out there, and it to a degree, you had made a Marvel reference, and I hadn't thought of it before, but I think you might be onto something. Is the fact like we would find out from Marvel that coming up, the new Marvel movie is going to be, I don't know. I don't know Marvel well enough, but some character, sort of side character, and people were like, "Wow, I can't wait to see that guy," and that was cool, and that was fine. Or it was dropped that this actor's playing this obscure comic book character. I think it's kind of the same thing. And maybe the other thing to think about is maybe the only people who care about it are the people like us, right? Like when Joe, average fan, hears, "Oh, Rosario Dawson's going to be playing some character," that's cool. I'll tune in to see Rosario Dawson. Timothy Oliphant's going to be in the show. I loved him in Deadwood. Cool. I'll watch it. So maybe it works. I'm not sure.
Maybe. And so, it's interesting though. What is a better marketing tool right now for Star Wars than anything on Disney Plus right now with everyone at home?
Right.
I mean, if you're watching ESPN right now, the day after The Last Dance airs, the entire day slate, every show is just breaking down highlights of Michael Jordan from '98. I mean, whatever. There's nothing new here. Star Wars is putting out new content, and Star Wars is Disney Lucasfilm grooming the audience to go to Disney Plus for new content. Everyone knows about The Mandalorian. The child, listen, my future wife, Mandy, will watch the Star Wars movie. She is not like a diehard by any means. She knows about Baby Yoda. She likes memes with Baby Yoda. She makes memes with Baby Yoda, okay? And she is like a lot of people. And when I say a lot of people in this world, I'm talking millions of people in this world right now know about Baby Yoda and are not fans of Star Wars. So I think it makes a lot of sense if you are going to tease and market the potential for a live action Ahsoka or Sabine Wren live action or Bo-Katan. Drop it in The Mandalorian right now, because that is the hottest thing right now, aside from Clone Wars. Clone Wars, as of today, most watched content on Disney Plus. Much deserved. That show should get praise. We've talked about it. Emmys galore for Ashley Eckstein and Sam Witwer for their performances. But The Mandalorian, make no mistake, and don't forget, and Pete, you know this as well as I do, The Mandalorian, when it dropped on Disney Plus, it took out Stranger Things in a week? So when season 2 drops back, we're right back on this train. Mandalorian's going to take back over, and it is the stage that everyone is watching, and we'll find out whether or not we get Ahsoka or Sabine. I hope we do, and I hope because of it, and because it's on that stage, I hope millions of people tune in for those live action series with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a look at the live chat. First of all, let me throw a question to the live chat while we dig through it a little bit. How do you feel about even talking about the rumors, right? Because that's one of the things that you and I, Dave, we talk a lot about. This is not a show that will recap each episode, and we're not a show that's going to drop fake news just to have the conversation. But
I hate that phrase. I hate that phrase.
I'm with you. But how do the folks who tune in every week and hang out with us, and thank you, Cannon Junkie and Rural Farm Boy and Nick Milkey and Gilster and Framey and there's more in there, John Bauman and Ms. P. How do you guys feel about this as a conversation point? Because honestly, right now, the only other conversation point is the gallery show. What do you got, Dave?
I just wanted to shout out that it is John Boffman, and Ms. P is secretly his wife. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that out loud. They are proud Patreon supporters of the Beyond the Blast Doors Network. You can join the Patreon right now for as low as $5. Just go to patreon.com/ Beyond the Blast Doors. That's right. The $5, $12, $18, $30, $50 level. Listen, we have no expectations. You don't even have to join us there. But if you want to get shout out on this episode right now, well, the fastest way to do it is if you join us on Patreon. We love shouting you out for your support of our network. Hey, by the way, John, Miss P, glad that you're here. Everyone is having a lot of fun. Oh, Nick, give us this a clarification. It is pronounced elephant. Elephant. Okay. I think it's elephant, like elephant. That's what he's saying. Okay, makes a lot of sense. Everyone's having a good time. Don't get in your own way, Rural Farm Boy says. Cannon Junkie says, my wife made a baby Yoda out of clay for a necklace. So like a crucifix, you're wearing baby Yoda. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of a similar shape, maybe. You got
that gets the Orthodox Christians excited. Rural Farm Boy says he's a Grand Admiral in relation to the Patreon. We appreciate that. We
absolutely do. Thank you so much. Yeah, so it's funny. I think I've told this story before. If I have, I apologize, but I think I'll get over it pretty quick. But I went to I've said this before. When the new Star Wars movies were coming out every single year, I would go on the Thursday night with a diehard friend of mine. Friday, I would take the day off and I would go with some of my old high school friends. And usually the Saturday, whether it was any one of the last 3 episodes, Solo or Rogue One, and I would take my nephew, my brother-in-law, and his wife. And when we walked out of Rise of Skywalker, this is how big Yoda is. Baby Yoda is. She says, wasn't that baby Yoda thing supposed to be in this movie? Like that was you expect, because to your point, he's blowing up. And so I think it is interesting. And I do like, you usually
don't lie. No,
yeah. No, all right. I was gonna be polite, but I don't think I can.
You're such a jerk. Sorry, I interrupted your point. It was a touching story. I was enthralled.
Yeah, I could tell. But anyway, the point the point being, I don't even know what the point is, but that I like where you're going with. I've given up. I've totally given. This is, you know what this is, Dave. This is why it's no longer on the Around the Galaxy podcast stream, because I cannot have this kind of quality of show in the same.
What are you talking about? We have fun. I'm having a great time. Listen, I like this kind of show. I can make fun of you for your overcompensation. Look how big that mic flag is. I mean, I know about product placement, but my God, it's like put it right in my face.
I'm proud of this network.
And
if you're not, then that's fine.
No, look, there's BTBD network right there, right down here.
Yeah, we're everywhere.
We're just everywhere. No, I to your point though, yes. Baby Yoda, specifically Star Wars, it's getting beyond the core fandom, and it's really exciting to see that, because you can share that. And I think a lot of credit just goes to Favreau Filoni for Yoda. For the child is literally what has made Star Wars relevant. And it's funny. There was a Twitter user the other day that said, Lucasfilm, you want to find a way to make everyone like Star Wars again? Thank you for Clone Wars. And saying that Clone Wars has made everybody happy. No one's unhappy about the final arc there, Siege of Mandalore. Okay, no one was upset about the child. Right. Everybody liked the child. I didn't meet one person who was like, "Oh, well, they totally just took Yoda and made him smaller." Like you didn't hear that.
Right.
And if you did, F that person. Like, come on, just have fun. This is great.
It's true. But I think I kind of recalled where I was going with this. The point that you were saying about this is the way to spin that kind of stuff off, right? So even if Ahsoka is in for 5 minutes of episode 6, and it's enough to gain interest that we get an Ahsoka series or even more books or another animated series or something, that's well worth it. And these are great characters, and Ahsoka and Clone Wars they changed the way you look at Star Wars. And I love the fact that, I'm glad you brought it up, because I had forgotten that it is the #1 streamed show on streaming services this week. It's amazing.
It's incredible, and it should excite you as a fan. It should show you that Star Wars, it's always been relevant, but I'd like to think that everyone spends so much energy talking about how toxic the fandom is. Really, it's just like a group of people on social media. Ignore them. Let's have fun. Let's celebrate Star Wars. Let's celebrate the stories and the people we get to share these stories with. That's why we do the show. Right. And so I'm really excited to see, those numbers are going up. Like I said, when The Mandalorian comes back, it's going to get to the top of the list. It's a really exciting time. And I think an Ahsoka Tano cameo, maybe a Sabine Wren cameo, Boba Fett comes back. I think those will help out the numbers.
Yeah, because to your point, it is the kind of thing that people will talk about even if they don't care about Star Wars. Boba Fett will bring the casual fan in. Ahsoka Tano won't, but her character done right will. So
You don't wait. Say that one more time. You don't think Ahsoka will?
I don't think it'll bring in the casual fan. No.
Really?
Yep,
Oh well.
I think I will care. I will. That'll be the episode that I stay up till 3 a.m. to catch the premiere. But it's not. I don't think my dad's going to care about it. I don't think my best friend who I go to see Star Wars with on the Friday it comes out.
Wish that was
will
me.
care. Yeah, well, you move to Jersey, man. Move to Jersey. We'll have some fun.
I moved to Iowa. I'm trying to get closer.
You're getting closer. You're getting closer.
Jeez, it's not like knock a guy down for trying. Jeez, I will tell you this. I want to disagree because I feel like I have to stay consistent with what I said last week on the show, Pete. And what did I say last week? That Ahsoka Tano is this generation's Luke Skywalker. The hero's journey we followed through Ahsoka's story, and it's something that we want to touch about. The element of the story of Ahsoka that we relate to, that we enjoy, that we think makes Star Wars the best. I just feel like this is the character that has been front and center almost as much as Vader in the last decade. And I think part of that is also the credit of Ashley Eckstein, not just what she does with the character, but what she does with her universe. And, a lot of the time that she gives to spread positivity to the fandom and to help others. I mean, very kind soul. I think it all culminates to making that character very special. Yep. And so I do think if you got to find out a live action Ahsoka Tano, because here's the other thing too, it's something I've had not an issue about with Star Wars, but I'd like a Star Wars story where it's not a humanoid at the helm. I think that you can have like an Ahsoka Tano lead a main Star Wars story and it be really successful. Because you got to, if you just keep like the core elements, right, like the mythos, but like the lightsabers and the spaceships and the Force and like Rebels, Empire, like those are elements, for lack of a better word, that people do register with. I think Ahsoka Tano is that character that Star Wars has that could have success with a not humanoid character. Because it's been an argument. Well, if you have we're humans. We're not going to go to the movie theater and see, a Jabba the Hutt movie. Although I would love to see a gangster mob kind of, crime family movie with the Hutt clan at the helm. I think that you could have success with Ahsoka at the helm, and I really hope it works. I really hope it happens.
Yeah, I think it'll happen. I think we'll see it in one form or another. I think you made a really interesting observation. So let's brings us to our Clone Wars conversation. Let's just sort of start though with, because I said this. I feel like I've said this on the last couple episodes here, a couple interviews I've done for Galaxy, and that is I am the first to admit that when I first saw anything Clone Wars, Snips just irritated the hell out of me. I did not care about that character at all. It felt really cheesy. The relationship between her and Anakin felt forced. It felt kind of weird. And so I was not an Ahsoka fan at all. Look at me now. I think she's maybe one of my favorite characters throughout the entire Star Wars saga. But so let me ask you, how were you introduced to Clone Wars? Did you go see the film did you see it in the movies, or did you see it on TV, or how did you get into Clone Wars?
Ronnie's 16 Cineplex off of South Lindbergh and Crestwood, St. Louis, Missouri. Went with my dad and my friends. We went in there thinking and hoping for big things. Let me tell you, when we talked earlier about going into the movie theater with high expectations and coming back a little blue-balled, let me tell you about the Clone Wars theatrical release. I personally enjoyed it. I was very frustrated with Ahsoka, but I got like 3 years older, and then I was like, oh, that's what they were trying to do. I just was, I think, just young enough to not appreciate the fact that, oh, yeah, here we are. We're restarting the coming of age story.
Right.
The whole Snip Sky Guy thing didn't really work for me. It felt kind of like vaudevillian when they're doing the whole opening sequence there on Christophsis, and she trips all the robots, and they get in a predicament. It just felt all very like gimmicky, but there were things that I appreciated. I loved seeing all the clones on the battlefield. I loved seeing, because you can in that kind of a storytelling environment, you can dump like 30 ATTs on screen and it's all good,
Right.
But there were some good elements. I mean, I love the Jedi. I thought Dooku was really cool in that, and I like the inclusion of the Hutts. I thought that was a really nice connective tissue there. So overall, I really liked it. But Ahsoka was my least favorite part of that movie. I later find out that it wasn't supposed to be a movie. It was like 4 or 5 episodes that they
Right.
sliced together, which maybe caused some issue. But yeah, overwhelmingly loved the movie. Didn't care for Ahsoka, but yeah, now she's a top 5 character for me. And I want more.
Yeah. Yeah, and we got so much more. Um it kind of leads me, so I did not see it in the theaters. It's the only Star Wars that I have not seen in the theaters.
Well, if you didn't see it in the theater, does that make you a real fan,
I
Pete?
I'm not a real fan anymore. Nope,
Wow.
I had to turn in my
Wow.
card. Yeah.
You heard it. You heard it here first, everybody. Give them hell in the live chat, folks.
Yes. So, and then I didn't even watch the first couple seasons of Clone Wars because it was just hard to find on cable and all this other stuff. So it was
Cartoon Network, man, Thursday night, 7 p.m.
yeah, I didn't watch it, and it took me up. I am so late to the game for Clone Wars. I didn't start watching till it hit Netflix, and in fact, one of the reasons I got Netflix was because Clone Wars was on there. But so I was a bit late to the game, and I kicked myself because it was so great, and um, I was so happy when they added that sixth season, and then of course season 7 came through.
Well, it aged like wine. It got more adult, which was nice. And I think that's one thing you appreciate about the 7th season is it wasn't Diet Coke Clone Wars. The first
Right.
couple of seasons were very, it was a PG or a TV-14 audience. That was their target. Well, when you got to season 4, things started changing. You bring back Maul. You have Savage Opress. And then you get to season 5. Okay, now we're having some character development here with Asajj Ventress, and you're starting to see the real exploration into the blueprint of the Clone Wars the lost episodes, the season 6, the lost episodes. You're starting to learn more about Sifo Dyas and Dooku's role, and Tyrannus now becomes revealed as Dooku to the Jedi, and then the whole the Mortis arc it really expanded upon itself. It was the story that George Lucas wanted the prequel trilogy to be. When you watch 105 or however many episodes of Clone Wars, you should hard to tell that much story in 3 movies, folks. It's hard to do. The man was overly ambitious. Can't fault him for that.
Yeah. And what is it, over 100 hours of Clone Wars? Is that what it is? I don't even know what the number is.
I don't know if it's 100 hours. I know it's 100 something episodes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But still, so the question I have for you is, was the Clone Wars as a series from episode 1 to the last one a week ago? Whose story was it? Was it Ahsoka's story? Could you say that the Clone Wars is solely Ahsoka's story? Because I think people expected it to be more. I think there are times a lot of it is just the broad Clone Wars, everything that came with it. But at the end of, it doesn't matter what the movie is or what the series is. There's a main character running through, and I think it's Ahsoka. I think it's 7 series of Ahsoka's story.
I think it's a great question to ask. And, you think about it, she's kind of like the R2-D2 and C-3PO of the series.
Right.
You're kind of watching that story play out from her perspective. And for that reason, I guess you could say it's hers. Knee-jerk reaction is, no, it's supposed to be fleshing out Anakin Skywalker between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith.
And I think that was the original intent. I think.
But Ahsoka got so much buy-in, which is why I think you're crazy. I think Ahsoka Tano will bring in some attention for The Mandalorian season 2 because of what happened here with this 7-season series. The fact that you watch this child grow up into this ultimate badass. And, okay, let's go ahead and throw it out there. You also have the Star Wars Rebels content where you have like prime Ahsoka dueling these white blades. And she's tough and she's smart and she's witty and she's empathetic. She's relatable. And so she is the vehicle for Star Wars of the last decade to me. And it is her story. But okay, let me turn it back on you though.
Yeah.
If it is not Ahsoka's story, who would you say it is? And you can't say Anakin Skywalker.
Well, so I'm gonna side with John here, and John said that the Clone Wars is the story of the clones, and I think that's a fantastic way to look at it, especially because the story I told last week about my son just falling in love with all the clones and being shocked to see them fall, and I mean it's Rex's story, it's Cody's story, it's Five's story, so it is this, and that to me I think is there's a couple major wins for Clone Wars that are below the surface, right? At the surface, it's a really exciting, interesting, fun story that fills in that gap between episode 2 and 3 of the Star Wars series. And it's a great action story, and it gets you back to Kenobi, and it gets you back to Skywalker, and it introduces Ahsoka. But what it does incredibly well is when you watch the movies without the Clone Wars television show, the clones are they don't you don't care about them. They're cannon fodder, right? You really don't care about
Yes.
them. They're menacing because there's so many of them, but you don't care. But you watch Revenge of the Sith now, and you watch Attack of the Clones now, and suddenly you care a lot. And every clone that gets, shot down on the battlefield of Geonosis, there's a story behind every single one of those guys. And that's the brilliance of Filoni. Because think about it. Think about that opportunity as a storyteller. You're here. I'm giving you the pitch. Here it is. I'm going to give you an unlimited number of the same exact character. Make it interesting. How do you do that? And he
Well,
did. He did.
He did. And I think we also have to give credit to D. Bradley Baker for being able to give a personality each of those clones. You're talking about one guy voicing dozens of clones over the seven seasons,
Right.
and he does so tremendously. I mean, just think about how important it was to have a different tone between Jesse and Rex.
Yep.
In the final episode. I mean, it made that episode, the conflict between these two brothers, and ultimately Jesse saying, no, I'm not going to go against my programming, and almost takes out Rex. And so I think you're right. And to me, I think what Clone Wars does so well, if there is like one significant event that it enhances, it is Order 66. And we've said this before on this show. I feel like, you have if someone's watching Star Wars for the first time, like, you watch the movies first.
Right.
But you go back and you watch Clone Wars, like, I'm going to go back and I think I should watch The Siege of Mandalore and then go watch Revenge of the Sith, because it makes all those Jedi deaths, it makes the betrayal so much more powerful. It makes it's incredible. And I feel like, and again, this better tells a story that George was trying to do. I love to go back in time, give him a bunch of extra money and 30 extra minutes runtime so he could do this great 8-planet battle galore. Yeah. But you know what, though? Something about the intimacy of the betrayal of the clones with Ahsoka, and Ahsoka being able to save Rex.
Yep.
Something about that makes the film seem so much larger. And it's wonderful.
I mean, I haven't done it yet. Maybe I'll do it this weekend, but I do want to watch Revenge of the Sith, because I feel like when Cody gets his order and just does a little, the one-handed kind of thing, and they start opening fire on Obi-Wan, it doesn't mean anything in Revenge of the Sith, because it's just that one clone that's orange. It means something because that they turned on the Jedi, but it doesn't. By saying it doesn't mean anything is a little bit on the extreme side, but you know where I'm going with it. It doesn't have the impact. I'm sure if I watch it tomorrow, Cody getting that order, holding the Emperor's hologram in his hand, seeing that happen, it's going to mean so much more.
I hope so. The one thing Revenge of the Sith, the clones are so black and white. That's what we see. We don't see any hesitation. Right. They flip. And so, and I think that's what makes the Rex and Ahsoka dynamic so much more powerful, is the fact that you see how challenging it is for that clone trooper to fight the programming, to fight that chip that's in his brain and not put a blast through Ahsoka. I mean, granted, if he actually had fired at Ahsoka, that shot gets deflected. Rex is dead. So could have been tragic either way.
Yeah. And it was, and it also, I like that they added, again, I feel like, I want to find something negative to say. I'll figure out what it is, but
I have to be.
I liked the way in the episode before in Shattered. Was it Shattered, or was it the one right before Shattered, where you got a glimpse of Isla Secura on that mushroom planet, and you saw
Felucia,
right, and you saw you saw geez, I'm blanking on all the names. It must be the third glass of wine that I'm on. That's
Kiadi-Mundi.
Kiadi-Mundi, and also who's the dude with the the orange face and the sunglasses and the
Plo Koon.
Plo Koon, that's right, flying through his thing. So, but it was cool that they made that connection, and it was subtle. And again, what's I'm maybe I will watch Revenge of the Sith this weekend and report back and watch it with my son, because this will mean more to him now, because he knows who Plo Koon is. He knows who Kia. We didn't really know who they were 20 years ago. I mean, we sort of knew because we had all the books and we followed all the details. But when they get taken down, it's like, yeah, wow, that sucks. But now it's like, whoa, these guys that they fought with on the battlefield have turned on them. And I think they tried to make that happen in Revenge of the Sith. They tried to show it with Ki-Adi-Mundi, for example, with his troops with him, and he charges them into battle and they just stop and fire. And it was subtle, but now it'll mean a lot more because we've literally seen them on the field together.
Yeah, it's interesting. You were talking earlier about I'll find a negative at some point. It's not a negative, but we had a conversation about 3 weeks ago. What did we want to see in this final arc of Clone Wars? What did we think that the final scene would be?
Right.
Which neither one of us got right. So I guess that's why we didn't bring that up again. But
and by the way, none of our listeners got it right.
No. Vader seems like a very. I wish Vader seems, looking back on it, like that would have been like an obvious.
Right.
And ended on Vader, but nonetheless, I wish we would have seen some throwback to what was happening on Coruscant with Palpatine.
Yep.
We know that there was a Jedi sect there. Shakti had been dispatched to go protect the Emperor, and I was kind of hoping to see some of that just as a way to include the micro series. I really wanted just a little bit more reference to that. So it's not a negative. It's not a complaint. A little bummed out, but I'm trying to be very open and honest. It doesn't take away from anything. It would have maybe enhanced it more for me, but also we're kind of a cult following the ones that like the micro series so much. But I that was one thing that, looking back on it, it would have been fun to go with Shakti and see the Ithorian Jedi again, and being chased by Grievous on the planetary level. It would have been cool. But it's okay. Maybe another time.
But it's interesting because I think and that speaks to the evolution of Clone Wars as a series, because I think, a couple seasons back, that would have been what we would see. We would have gotten the clone, the army, the war version of Order 66. But because Ahsoka's character evolved and became so important and became such a big piece of what Clone Wars, the series, is and who people cared about, as much as I agree, I would love to see that, and maybe we'll get a different animated series that shows us some of that. But I think I think that's a different episode. Maybe it's like a bonus episode at some point. Give me 30 minutes of Order 66 going down and post Order 66. But I think because of the way the story and the series evolved, and I think that's one of the interesting things is it changes the way you look at the saga, but it also changes the way you go back now and you look. If you go back to season 1 and 2 and 3, that's evolved as well. I mean, just such great stories. I mean, even honestly, you go back to earlier in season 7. I watched the episode in the Bad Batch when Anakin faces off against Trench for the last time, and he kills him. Like, that was his first step toward what he did to Dooku, and his first step toward sort of justice in his own hands, which is a huge thing. And I think we expected to see more of that in Clone Wars than we got. And I'm not complaining, because I think what we got was great, but we didn't see Dark Anakin that much, or at least his tendencies to. I mean, we saw some interesting choices, but I don't think we saw his tendencies toward darkness as much as maybe we would have expected.
And a great example also, again, of how Clone Wars stayed mature, showing the death of Trench, a great sequence. And yeah, it was a great arc overall. I appreciate it. I don't know if I would put Trench as like the start of the path for Anakin Skywalker. That makes Trench seem more important than he actually is.
Yeah.
And I would also say that just the way they have Obi-Wan react, he's kind of like, Anakin, what are you doing, Anakin? Oh, Anakin. It's like you're watching an episode of Full House, and it's like, isn't that cute? Ashley Olsen put her finger up her nose and pulled out a gummy bear. Isn't it precious?
Yeah, but to me, it was the way he struck him down. It was the
Malice,
it came from a
anger,
dark place. Yeah, it came from a
range,
dark place. Yeah, yeah,
rage.
yeah.
I said range, like a golf range. That's the wrong word. It's
It
rage,
came
no
from the
end.
golf range. Yeah, it was.
And-
It was
Streaming Star Wars from the golf range. We're having a good time.
you
Someone
could say he sliced it. Oh, yes.
Booyah.
There we go.
The live chat is asking if we've had the portion of our show where we talk about what we're drinking. And look at that big wine glass. What are we drinking tonight, Mr. Fletzer?
I'm drinking the same stuff I was drinking last week. This Behringer wine, which is aged in bourbon barrels. You know, I think if quarantine has taught me nothing else, is that if you can find a good $16 bottle of wine,
Oh, yeah.
buy a lot of it because you're going to need it.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I think, was it a Josh bottle of wine that also I had? That was, I think I had that last week. It was aged in a bourbon barrel. Big fan of that trend. It's wonderful. By the way, any winos out there, if you have a Super Target, they're doing a thing right now. 4 bottles, you can get a carrier, get 10% off.
Wow.
So I'm a big fan of $16 bottles of wine too.
Yeah.
And so that's how I do it. I get 4 at a time, or if you have a Hy-Vee, they sell by the case. So that's nice. I actually don't have a drink tonight. I had to stay in tonight, and I did some grilling. And so I had some Sam Adams variety pack. I believe it's the Sam Adams 76. And it's a little hoppy. It's not like to the point of like a strong IPA, but it's got some hop to it, and it was really nice. And then I had the summer blend, which is a citrus infused. It was good. Yeah. So, but sober for this show. Sober tonight. Sorry, everybody. I'm high on life, folks. I'm having a good time. Happy to be with you and talking Star Wars. All right. Oh, I was supposed to keep talking there because Pete wanted to take another drink.
I needed another sip. I was so
big mic flag, big wine glass, big head. I mean, it's all.
I've got Conan O'Brien hair going on. This is it's gone south. Everything.
I said big head, not big receding hairline. Didn't have to point it out, but it's okay. All right. I'm teasing. I'm catching up to you, big guy. You see this?
I know you'll be there. You'll be there.
Oh,
you'll wake up one day and it'll be like it's over. It's gone.
Mandy tells me one time, she goes, when you go bald, you're going to have to get some plugs if you're going to stay on air. And I just looked at her. I'm like, that's not something you say to someone you're supposed to love. Like, I can tell you that you're going bald and you got to get some old man plugs. Like, give me a freaking break here. I'll just buzz everything off before I start. Like I'm a chia pet, like I'm going to start putting seeds in my scalp. And I don't think that's actually how it works, but it was really offensive to me. I didn't like it. If you can tell, I don't know.
Sure.
I wish I had a drink. I need a drink now.
Yeah, you're gonna need one. Yeah. So, anything else we want to talk about with Clone Wars? I mean, again, I think it's one of those things where, to me, the biggest thing is that it changed the prequels for me. It made it made 2 and 3 different movies, and it brought this wonderful character that one of the things I want to give Dave Filoni a lot of credit for is he has done something where he's now left these big giant gaps. A very, very smart move. Giant gaps for where he can continue to tell Ahsoka's story. What happened after the end of her novel, all the way through to Rebels, and then what happened at the end of Rebels, all the way into sometime before Rise of Skywalker, because she's heard at the very end of Rise of Skywalker, which also reinforces the importance of her role in the saga.
Yes, and I think it was a big statement to have her in that final scene of the Rise of Skywalker, and whether she's alive or dead in that moment, we're not still quite sure. I mean, she could be playing, in Worlds Between Worlds, for all we know. Ahsoka could live to be like 300. We have no idea. Right. She could actually be with like the child. Like we don't know. So I think that's not going to actually happen. That was a stupid joke. It wasn't even funny. I don't even know why I said it. I regret it. I have remorse in my heart right now for the words I just uttered. I am really, oh God, you say things like every 7 minutes that reinforces why Ahsoka is going to make Mandalorian season 2 so damn great. Yeah. He leaves those holes, and he also has been, he's been quoted before as saying things along the lines of, I always have stories. Like I've got dozens of stories in my head, and I'm just trying to figure out which is the next story to tell. And I think that yeah, I look forward to getting stories from Dave Filoni. I hope for like the next like 5 decades. That'd be really nice. Like 5 more decades of Dave Filoni Star Wars. Let's go.
That would be fantastic.
Can we shout out? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I got excited. I keep looking over. You might notice that how sometimes if you're watching the live show or watching here on the rewind, I'm not always looking at Pete or looking at you. I'm not looking always in the camera. It's because I'm always looking into the live chat. And we got some great observations here. So I just want to throw this out. This is Interforce historian Pete. He says, after watching the Clone Wars series, I find myself going back and watching the episodes out of linear order. Now these stories make sense to me no matter what order I watch the Star Wars stories in. And that's a great point because if you watch the series from episode 1 to the very end, it's not in chronological order. It's a little confusing. You're supposed to like start season 2 and go back, and it's a mess. People have taken the time to sort these episodes out the right way. And honestly, I think what I would love to do with you, Pete, if you want to be my friend and do this with me, I'd like to actually watch the episodes in like canonical order. I think that would be like a lot of fun. I don't know what we would do with that. I think maybe we would just get on here and maybe like you and I would be talking, and then like I'd have my TV over there with the episode playing. We could just talk about it. We could just have fun with it.
You know, it would be fun if we did a sort of Patreon thing where we pick a day, we do like 2 or 3 hours, and we just sit and we say, okay, we're watching episode season 2.3 to 2.7, and we're just gonna sit and watch it. You hit start when we say start, and we'll just hang out and we'll talk while we do it. I think I just came up with our first big Patreon win.
I would do that. You know, everyone is the automatic. Hey, why don't you join us on a Saturday? We'll go watch Empire Strikes Back. I don't know why I just tried to do like a Jimmy Stewart.
I was gonna say, is Jimmy Stewart like have a Twitter feed that he's
who's the comedian that does that bit about how James Stewart can make like a nuclear attack look incredible? Like, would you look at that? That mushroom cloud isn't a marvelous okay, so I really messed that up. It wasn't as smooth. Yeah. Ostrich. Okay, so now I'm doing like Don Knotts. That was weird. I don't know. I don't have my. I need water. But no, seriously, like, what did that be? Oh God, I'm just so great. What were we talking about? I completely lost my. I started talking about Jimmy Stewart.
We were talking about watching a group of episodes as a Patreon thing. And John here says he likes to watch arcs. You know, John, I'm glad you brought that up because that's the way I got back into Clone Wars as I prepared for 7 was because I hadn't been able to catch all of them. And so the key arcs, I pulled them up and me and my son would just watch like 4 episodes in a row and just, catch the Maul arc, or we would catch, Ahsoka's arc or the Mortis arc or something like that. That would be cool. We should pick a couple arcs and we'll watch them with our viewers. I think that would be a lot of fun.
We'll do that. Can I do okay, I want to try this one more time. Mary, you want me to lasso you the moon, Mary? Okay, that's
actually not. It's not too bad. That's not too bad.
You've been drinking. That's why it sounds good to you.
That's true.
It wasn't actually very good. The live chat's actually offended. No, Interforce historian, I do want to thank you for that comment to lead us to that conversation. I'd like to shout out one more, if that's okay. Frammy, a good friend of the show. There's always a moment that makes behavior normal and comfortable. Anakin killing Trench may have been the murder that set him up for killing Dooku. So maybe I think what Frammy's saying is like, so it's not that the death was as pivotal, but maybe it's like a release in a way that set Anakin up to feel that release again. Like it was almost like a relief to kill, which is scary.
Well, it made it so like he realized that that's actually he's been told not to do it, but he can do it. Right.
Oh, so and and guess what? In about 47 minutes after that, he killed a lot more people too. he goes a little crazy. You know what's funny? It's like you're watching the Siege of Mandalore, and it's like, all right, so we're gonna send Rex and these clone troopers with Ahsoka. We're gonna hold on to these 501st troopers. It's like 2 hours later, they're just murdering children and Jedi.
Right.
It's, wow, those guys. Assholes.
I saw an interesting thing on somewhere on Twitter about this sort of showed the difference between and this is a different sort of topic, but the fact that what Clone Wars taught us through Ahsoka is what the Jedi should be, and by her no longer being a Jedi, it showed what a Jedi should be, and by her dropping her weapon, which is what Luke did, is what a Jedi should be. The thing that I found really funny was this tweet that somebody showed. They showed Ahsoka saying something to the effect of, I don't want to hurt anybody. Set your weapon to stun, when she tells Rex that. And then they flip to Yoda jumping across and like jamming his lightsaber into the chests of various clone troopers, people that fought next to him, right?
Yeah.
Die. Yeah, right. So I don't know. I think back to Ahsoka and back to the story of what Clone Wars is. And I think we're starting to see this, is that Star Wars in 1977 through 1983, the Jedi were this revered, can do nothing wrong sort of group of characters. And as we got into the prequels, we started to see that the problem was, their downfall was that they started to drink their own Kool-Aid and believe their own righteousness. And then, of course, the sequels, it's the story that mistakes were made, and how do you avoid making those same mistakes. So I think Ahsoka shows us that there is a way to be a Jedi, and it is having the power. Just because you can be a warrior doesn't mean you should, right? And Yoda even says that wars do not make one great.
Well, and something that I think that Jodie Houser did really well in the Age of Republic comics, and what I think Claudia Gray did a really great job in Master and Apprentice, is taking a look at Qui-Gon Jinn, for example, and his frustrations with the Jedi Order, and it is very similar to what Ahsoka Tano is seeing. Qui-Gon felt like the Jedi Council specifically had really deviated from the focus of the purpose of Jedi, to try and maintain balance throughout the galaxy. It became too political, got involved in a war. It was a problem. Okay,
right.
Well, I guess the war came after Qui-Gon got stabbed in the chest by Maul, but you get what I'm saying, right? Okay,
right. They were on the path. They were on the path.
Yeah. So Ahsoka's doing the same thing, right? Sees the flaws, backs away, she achieves balance. I mean, I think that's ultimately what you're seeing with Ahsoka at the end of her arc, and we haven't seen the act, but she is an individual who found balance and is able to embrace elements maybe of both sides. And I would like to play more with the idea of Ahsoka playing with the dark side. It's something that we kind of wanted to see with Luke, right? I think a lot of people with Last Jedi thought, oh, you're going to see Luke struggling a bit more with the dark side and experimenting with, the sorcery of it all, and trying to find balance. And and that's because it's set up in the EU. Like the EU, what was so cool is like Luke was good, and then he tries to play with the dark side to try and obtain balance. He F's up really bad, like puts the galaxy in another conflict, then redeems it again. These Skywalkers, they just ruined it for the rest of us. But no, really, Ahsoka's great. That's what I got.
That's it. Drop the mic. Ahsoka's great. Clone Wars. Ahsoka's great. That's what we should have just titled this episode. Clone Wars.
People don't click on that episode. Let me tell you, Pete.
I think they already have their opinion one way or another. So
I was just. Oh wait. Oh. Okay. Shots fired in the live chat. I know we're trying to wrap this thing up, but Nick here said I boomered the live chat. I don't know what the hell that means, but I don't think I did that. Just kidding, because you made watching Empire Strikes Back on a Saturday sound like an old man thing with your Jimmy Stewart voice. Oh no, I'm a big fan of watching Empire Strikes Back on a Saturday morning. Usually I do it in my underwear, and no, it's not. I'm not boomering anybody. I don't know. Aren't you a boomer? No, you're too young to be.
I'm not a boomer. Jesus.
Yeah, you're way too young.
Do you want a shovel? Do you want to start digging out, or is that
no? Hey, what's it like to be? You're like what, 38 and a silver fox? Like, what's that like? Like, I know you're happily married, but you got to turn some heads once in a while. Your wife's not watching. Be honest. Come on.
She would never watch any of these. She's like she puts up with the Star Wars.
She's probably like Manny, where she's like, I don't have to watch because I hear you do the damn show from the living room.
Yeah. Or you know what? Here's what's probably happening. She's probably like, I would never watch it. Meanwhile, she's in our bedroom with like her iPhone, and she's like watching the show. And she's commenting. She's one of these. She's Interforce historian or something.
That's funny. Ms. P is actually not Ms. P. It's actually your wife.
That's right. Ms. Pete.
Yeah. No, I know Ms. P real. I know it. I know it's you. No, that's funny.
That's funny.
This is. You know what? I'm gonna toot our own horn for like 20 seconds. This is why I like this show, because it's just, there's no rules. We're just here talking Star Wars. We're talking the latest news. We give you opinions. We explore stuff. This has been a great hour, Pete. I've had an absolute blast. How about you?
This has been so much fun. I'm really, it's just the strange thing about doing a show that is completely dedicated to just the Disney Plus Star Wars. It's we just don't know what we're gonna have to talk. I mean, we know what we have to talk about in 8 to 12 week increments, depending on on the series. But if nothing else, it's Disney Plus is where Star Wars is expanding,
Right.
and we're getting more from it. And I just love that we get these wonderful people who join us every Friday night and or listen to it on the podcast and or on the replay and hang out and enjoy these conversations because I've said it before. It's not. This is not about recapping and saying we're at the 8-minute mark when her lightsaber hits a 48-degree angle. That tells me that that's not what we're doing here. We're having some fun. We're talking about it. We're drinking wine, bourbon, or beer, and or lemonade and iced tea, whatever you're into. And we're just hanging out on a Friday night, having a Star Wars conversation. That what, if you're like me, if you're like David, it's not all your friends that are going to have this conversation. Right. So
Right.
you gotta find it somewhere. And we're so glad and so lucky and thankful that we get to do it with you guys every Friday night.
I'm glad you clarified that we don't peer pressure anyone to drink on this show. It's completely voluntary. We just ask that you be of age. This show is not intended for anyone under the age of 21.
That's right.
So we just want to stay kosher. All my Jewish friends, hello, shalom, l'chaim, let's go. I'm Catholic. I shouldn't joke. I just like to have a good time. I say it with love and jest. But here we are hanging out, and I just vomited like information you don't give a damn about. It's okay. Hey, should we talk about like the website? Should we talk about Patreon? Should we talk about just the network real quick before we get out of here? We got a couple of minutes.
Yeah, let's go for it. What do you got in mind?
Well, first off, tooting our own horn a little bit, closing in on 4,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel, which is really exciting.
Yes.
At 5,000, we are giving away a Black Series Darth Vader helmet, which you can find all that information out on our Twitter account right now at BTBDnet. That's where you can find out the information. Also going to start, I believe that's a web story that I still have to check in. So there will be a web story to where we'll give you additional information about that contest and big old sloppy kiss and thank you for supporting our conversation here at Beyond the Blast Doors. And the website, we're going to have an article dropping tomorrow from Jerry over. Oh, there's the graphic. Dude, that thing is sick. It is such a nice giveaway. And honestly, 5,000 subscribers, like that's a damn good giveaway. All you have to do is subscribe to our channel, tell all your friends about the channel, get them subbed up. Every time, you just get your name in the pot, we'll do a big drawing, which is going to be wild because it's like, it would technically be a pot of like, what would be a pot of? It'd be like a pot of like almost 2,000 people. So that's nuts. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll do a big giveaway. I think the idea is that when we hit the 5,000, we would do a big network wide, have all the show hosts on the big stream, and we do the giveaway. So it'd be a lot of fun, a lot of bells and whistles. Very exciting. It's been pulled out of the box.
No, this is mine.
Oh, that's yours.
Yes, I have one. Yes.
Do you wear that?
Rarely. I do put it on occasion, but it's a special occasion.
Is this why your wife doesn't watch the show?
Could very well be. Could be.
I don't want to know about that helmet. I'm actually kind of terrified that you have that helmet. But hey, we want you to have that helmet. And we don't give a damn what you do in or out of that helmet. Yeah, put the graphic back up. Good idea. So yeah, and as always, start your Star Wars conversation every morning when you wake up by going over to beyondtheblastdoors.com. We have news, reviews, editorials. You can find the latest live shows. You can also find our podcast streams. Beyondtheblastdoors.com. It's where you need to be. We talked about Patreon early, so I feel like we did that plug. And that was good. You know, we're not trying to whore ourselves out. We're just saying, like, if you want to help us make this better, like, it'd be kind of funny. I don't know. Are we allowed to ship alcohol? Because all I'm saying is, think about it. Because
I think it depends on the state. It depends on the state. I'm not an expert, so.
If you donate at like the 18, so let's say we have 14 people watching live right now, okay? If these 14 people were all on Patreon right now at like the $18 level, okay?
Right.
Which technically it breaks down $3 per, like that would be $3 to Holo Chronicles, $3 to streaming Star Wars, so on and so forth. Okay, 14 people are $3 each. that buys a nice bottle of whiskey, that could be the giveaway. You can make it possible. I'm just throwing out ideas.
I think if we get to a point where we have the funding to give more stuff away, I'm all for it. Giving stuff away is like one of the
I'll give you this shirt. I'm just kidding. You don't want this shirt. It smells.
We'll lose people, David.
We will lose people. But all that business aside, thank you for being part of our Star Wars conversation, because this is literally so fun to do BTBD Live last night, to do Streaming Star Wars tonight. We wake up tomorrow, and there's more. And then the next day, there's more Star Wars.
Bombadcast hits on Saturdays.
Which, by the way, that Mac DeMarco interview that Scotty did
a
very nice job coordinating that interview. He coordinated it, made it happen, and he did a great job interviewing. 13,000 views right now. A lot of people watching that interview. If you haven't watched it already, it's really cool to listen to this guy talk Star Wars, musician, big passionate Star Wars fan. Check that out.
Let me say this, and I have to give major props to Scotty from Bombadcast. He came to the network and he said, "Guys, I've got Mac DeMarco," and he was so excited about it.
He didn't know who the hell he was,
and I'm like, cool. And then I've gotten into some of his music, but the most important thing is the interview. Whether you know who this guy is or not, it is an amazing interview to just hear. First of all, Scotty kills it as an interviewer, and Mac as a guest is fantastic. So if you get a chance, check that out. And check out all the shows. Check it. We have Holochronicles is going to drop on Monday. They're talking to on Sunday night. They're talking to one of the stuntmen from Mandalorian. We had Kevin Scott on a couple weeks ago. We
just talked to the guy who wrote George Lucas's biography. That was pretty dope.
That was pretty cool. And I have a really fun interview this week with a woman named Arzu Amin, who is a blogger. But just like, there's so many cool shows every single day, other than Sundays. Sundays we take off.
And we do for now.
For now.
Oh,
we could have something coming. We could have a 7th show to make your week complete, but we're not going to talk about that yet.
No, this is why
we want to get there. That's
the
tease. Yes,
I'm sure that sounded really great. By the way, over air with me just like moving my microphone all over the place, that probably destroyed eardrums. Also, a couple days ago, Postcards from the Galaxy's Edge,
of course,
Naboo episode. Shannon crushed it. It was awesome. So there you go. An hour of Star Wars, 4 minutes of talking shop about the network. I think that's fair. I think it's fair. Everyone's having a good time too. Everyone's still in live chat having a good time, and that's how we want to. We always like to end these things on a high note, right? Like we started strong, we'll finish strong. It's kind of like Kobe Bryant in a way, right? Like his last game, he shot 60 points. Like that's a GOAT. So that's not what we're doing here. Honestly, we didn't shoot 20 points tonight, but we had fun.
I think we had fun. Well, Dave, why don't we do this again next week?
Sounds good. Episode 24 of Streaming Star Wars next Friday. And you can catch us, as you always can, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, live on the Beyond the Blast Doors YouTube channel. You can always catch us on the Rewind, of course. Make sure you comment down below. We like those comments. And we mentioned it once. We'll mention again. Streaming Star Wars now. Just search Streaming Star Wars on the app of your choice that you like to listen to podcasts. You'll find Streaming Star Wars now in its own dedicated feed. Of course, the easiest thing to do, Pete, right? Just go to beyondtheblastdoors.com and go to shows, Streaming Star Wars.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think that's a wrap.
I'm Dan.